Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Brian. So in today's video, we're going to flash back about 2 years ago. So I did a project I called Rotten Garage Rebuild or something like that at our beach house, and didn't seem to be a lot of interest, so I kind of never really put together or aired the final sort of episode on that. And I had at least a couple requests, so where's the other episode? So here it is. Enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Brian. So we're back at our beach house. I started this project about 2 years ago. Had some water damage on the wall of this garage, which was a lot worse than I thought. So let me take you on a little tour. You might notice these windows are installed backwards. I installed them here in the opening. I framed, had to reframe because it was completely rotten. Pretty much stuck them in here just to keep them safe from getting more damage. Came back later the next year. Had to replace the rest of the wall all the way back to there. Planned on last winter going ahead and pulling the sheathing off the outside of this wall. I figured it was probably sort of okay, maybe. The studs look okay. We pulled this OSB off earlier yesterday. Anyway, when we came back to fix this part of the wall, discovered that whole side was jacked up too from separate water damage. So that seems to be finally sealed up, and that's survived, and I put all the siding back on there. So my goal this time is to pull this felt that I temporarily secured up here with some batten strips and nails, figure out what's rotted, what we need to fix, and maybe get started putting the siding back on and the windows back in. I may be wrong on the studs. So it's the next day, and here's where we are. I started putting up new studs and a new, if we can see it, top plate. Since I didn't want to have that much unsupported, so I've started that much, which should hold it up, and then we'll tear the rest of this out. As far as I felt I needed to, and this is the last stud going back. So now the house next door is getting their lawn mowed, so it's probably a good time for one of these. We're gonna see if we can get this first piece of plywood up here. It's a full piece. So it's the next day. Happens to be the day we're leaving. I got all the plywood up. A few weeks later and we're back. The house wrap looks like it held up. So now we'll work on getting the siding put back on, but first I need to reinstall these windows properly. I just had them nailed in the opening on the inside to keep them from getting broken. So I'll get those pulled out of there and then we'll figure out where to find the opening and cut the openings out. I ran a drill bit through from the inside on the corners and then stuck a screwdriver through so I could find it, and I marked all my corners. So I know where the opening is going to be. So now I can cut the house wrap kind of in the middle and just let it hang loose while I cut the opening out. Then we can use it to wrap the edges. All right, let's see how this works out.
test fit the window in the opening, and it's a snug fit, but it fits. Also rewrapped all these edges. I cut some of this stick down flashing material. I cut this piece slightly wider than the window opening, so So we'll just stick this on the bottom. And just cut it at an angle over here so it'll wrap down. Make sure this window still fits in here. It's just roofing sealer. Caulk would be more ideal, silicone caulk. I apparently used all of it last time and didn't get any more. This caulking gun's kind of a POS too. Cleaned all the old caulk out of here, which was really nasty. This also has a nailing flange. So we'll just set this up in here and put a few nails in through the outside, and then we'll check for level and plumb. All right, that checks out good enough. So now we can just nail pretty much every hole in this nailing flange. So these windows had this sealant stuck to them, which mostly just the wood disintegrated from, but it stuck to the vinyl on the window really well. Figured out if you can pull on it and take a wood chisel and kind of just cut that bond and keep pulling on it. This method has worked way better than anything else I've tried. I didn't show it on the other window. Before I nailed it in, I did go ahead and put a bead of sealant all the way around the flange. I kind of squirted it under because I sort of forgot about it. So I'm going to do this one out here first. Almost forgot the bead of sealant on the bottom. When I've reframed this wall, I used the exact dimensions that were here. So when they built this, they didn't leave any room for error. So there's really not even any room to shim it. So we're just going to roll with it. running out of daylight, and I think it's supposed to rain tonight, so those windows are nailed in all the way around. I got a new roll of this sealing tape, which I'm going to use for flashing. I didn't think my old roll would make it. Plus, it seems like the older it gets, the less sticky it is. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the course down the center, down the outside edges, and then across the top, overlapping them. And that would be it for the day. So it's the next day. There's been a drastic turn in the weather. It's about 20 degrees cooler, and it rained last night. Looks like our flashing held up. Everything appears to be dry inside. So next, I'm going to clean up a little bit. And I'm going to fish all this siding out of here. We'll try to get it put back on. So I fished out and sorted all the pieces. Obviously this was one that had to have gone here. So to figure out where I need to put my starter strip, since I can't get a real good match to the other siding, I'll go ahead and get the foam board put on here, and then we'll work our way down to figure out where the bottom needs to be and then start properly. So I have all the pink insulation board on. I put this piece up to do some test measurements because that's the original piece under the window. What I ended up doing was just transferring a line around the corner from that course of siding and did the same thing on the front, measured down, blah, blah, blah. So that blue line represents what should be the top of the starter strip. My chalk line starts out pretty good. It gets worse and worse. I guess I need more chalk, and I guess I don't have any here. So there's some traces here and there, but this is pretty good down here. So I'll get this first piece nailed on, and then we can just eyeball the other one, and you can get a pretty good sight line down it. So I got the starter strip on the bottom. I'd run this chalk line, which kind of got faded the further down I went. I figured I would double check my measurements, and they seemed to get off the further I went. So I essentially just measured from the top down the same distance, which is how I established each end and verified that point. But it's pretty straight. I still need to knock some more nails in it. As I got to the other end, I realized my problem. This is where I transferred the line around the corner, and I need to measure down 2 3/4 to make this mark, but I snapped my chalk line to this mark. So, whoops. So I'll get some more nails knocked in there. We'll start getting some siding on. So I have the first few pieces up. I've sorted out kind of what the obvious pieces are, where they go. Apparently I picked the wrong second piece because I had to trim a little bit off this end, but I'm sure I'll need to get a new piece out here or there. I also sorted out a little better. Ends that are flat, they're obviously starters, or go at the other end. And then ones that are either intermediate or they end on this end of the garage. Those are my choices. And then all the trimmed ones that have obvious places. So next, I'll select the next piece and keep going. Looks like this will work for here. I'm nailing it about every foot or so. I'm trying not to sink the nails tight. And you put the nail pretty much in the middle of the slot. This side of the house faces east, so it conceivably could get some sun. Depends on the state of vegetation over here. So you wanted some room. This allows it room to expand and contract. This foam's nice because if at least one thing it does, it'll hold the nail for you. So now it's time for our piece around the window. Let's see if we calculated this right, or if it's going to fit worth a hoot. I'm not sure it fit very well before. Just generally the way they did it. Yeah, it kind of sucks. So I'll go fish out a new piece and we'll trim this where it fits a little better. Somewhere I have a zip tool. But I can repurpose this piece somewhere, just cut that little tail off. See if she fits. Come on. All right, I'm happy with that. Stupid dog. So I've made it that far. I know it's filthy, but anyway, we're up to right about there. Got one full piece and then some J channel and piece it in. Let me go beat that dog. or run out of daylight. Maybe I'll get this done, maybe not. I think it's time for one of these. I'm going to put a big bead of caulk along the top. Hopefully it will stop any water migrating underneath there. I think what started all this is this drip edge wasn't out far enough, causing the water to run down and wick under the siding right here. Probably fix that by adding the drip edge properly, but I'm gonna caulk this J channel up to the top, so if it does want to wick around, it has nowhere to go. So the J channel's up there. I mean, it's used, so it's kind of a little wavy. Now in theory, this piece should slide up under into that J channel and just snap in. Which it looks like it's actually doing. There. All right. Good enough is okay. Now all we need to do is put the gutters back on, downspouts. I have some stainless steel deck screws. I didn't bring any cordless tools this time, so this will have to do. So there you have it. It looks like hell, but we'll wash it next time. No more rot in the wall, and there's the final downspout. I had to improvise on this one since the brackets were broken and I can't find this size gutter anywhere else. I may look for something to go above this window. I had flashed that a few years ago with that stick-on flashing in the thoughts that that's where the water was coming in, but apparently it was not. And that crap won't come off. So I might look for something like a little overhang or something. I'll go over that just to disguise it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.